Hello and welcome to A Cup of Tea with Dr. Z, where we share everyday stories with you, everyday women. Are you ready to hear heart-to-heart key issues that we all face, no matter where we are in the world? So grab your cup of tea and let's welcome your host, author, international speaker, reinvention strategist, and woman that's full of faith in God and mankind, Dr. Zena Arinzi.
Yeah. Welcome to A Cup of Tea with me, Dr. Z. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for allowing me into your space, into your homes. I hope you've all had a brilliant and an amazing Christmas. And I'm really hoping as well that you're going to have an even supernaturally better 2024 as we're getting ready. A few more days, we're going to go in there with a bang. Some of you are going to be keeping resolutions. Some of you are going to be saying all manner of things that 2023 was horrible or whatever it is. But I wanted you to take some time out to really consider what really did work in 2023. Really reflect on the wonder that is that you are actually here right now, listening to me, taking time out of your busy schedule with your families. Some of you are back to work. Some of you are not. If you're in America, I know many of you are back to work. Some of us in England are still at home until some people till the 8th of January, which is my birthday. Some of you until the 2nd. But wherever you are around the world, just take stock. And realize that you're here for such a time as this, and realize that no matter how you might feel the year has gone for you, I want you to know that look at it with a cup half full rather than a cup half empty. You know, it's just an amazing. Today we're going to be talking about healthier boundaries for, how to have healthier boundaries and bouncing back, especially for 2024. And I have an amazing, phenomenal guest waiting in the green room to actually speak to you. I'm going to ask her lots of questions. I'm going to try my best and squeeze her tight so that she'll have something to share with you, something that will really help you and help me as well to move forward in 2024, but also to ensure that we have the right, I don't want to use the words barricade, but we have the right boundaries around ourselves for our work, for our families, for ourselves. Basically, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's all right being helpful. It's okay being generous, but you have to start with you, having the right boundaries in place for you. You hear, like someone said last week, we've had amazing guests. We had the amazing Lisa Marie Flynn, episode 1. The phenomenal Tayo Oyinola, episode 2. The incredible Beverly Ann last week, episode 3. And tonight we have the phenomenal Shanita Bromwell. And she's listening to me in the green room. I can see her smiling. So a little bit about me. My name is Dr. Z. As you heard on the infomercial, I'm a reinvention strategist. I'm a coach. I'm an author. I'm all these amazing things. But fundamentally, I'm an everyday woman, just like you, doing extraordinary things. And before, pardon my manners, I just want to ask you, do you want a cup of tea? Okay, let me just pour for myself. Oh, it's a bit hot. Always love a brew. No, sorry about that. So go and get your cup of teas if you don't have your cup of tea, coffee, maybe you don't like tea, whatever it is you like, go and get it because we're about to kick off. Now, before we start, I'm just going to quickly read a short bio about this amazing woman that we have who's about to be with us. And wherever you're watching from around the world, whether you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you are, you are welcome. Now, Shanita, this amazing, phenomenal woman. I'm so excited. I just feel like not allowing her to speak to you, just speak to me. But anyway, let me tell you a bit about this phenomenal woman. Now, Shanita is a licensed counselor. She's a transformational coach. She's a speaker, and she's a trauma survivor herself, dedicated to helping women around the world develop the self-awareness that they need to strengthen their emotional resilience and also build trust in their abilities to overcome life's challenges. She has over 10 years experience through her counseling, coaching and presentations, and she gives amazing insight. I have to say that I'm a recipient of her insight. She has amazing insight. She's so calmly and soft-spoken, but she gives you practical guidance that can really take you forward in your life, especially in the areas of emotional healing. She draws a lot from her own lived experiences, but also with her professional expertise. So without further ado, I'm going to invite the amazing, phenomenal Shanita Bromwell into the green room.
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Z and audience.
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. What time is it for you guys? Because I know you're all the way in Michigan. Is that right?
Yes. It is 2:07 here.
Wow, 2:07. That means for us it's 7 minutes after 7 p.m. So that's why I'm not drinking coffee, so I can stay awake. Would you like a cup of tea?
Yes, thank you.
All right, okay. I didn't ask you. What do you want? I've got fruit tea here. Is that what you take?
That's fine.
Oh, fantastic! Right. Oh, right. Just brewed. Oh.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would have offered you a biscuit as well, but I don't know. You guys call them cookies.
Yep, those are cookies.
Right. So thank you so much for joining us. Indeed, you are an everyday woman doing amazing, phenomenal, extraordinary things around the world. And today, we're talking about having healthier boundaries. We're talking about, the concept of bouncing back. We're talking about patting ourselves on the back. We're talking about being able to lift ourselves up from the ground and not say, oh, look at what I've done. I made a mistake. I could have done this better. We're talking about how to do better because we know better. So my first question to you, I'm just going to put you right on the spot, is what do you understand by having healthier boundaries?
Well, healthier boundaries to me, they are limits that define acceptable behavior in various relationships and situations. Now, it's limits that you as an individual have defined for your life. And you have to recognize it's that it's not boundaries somebody else put on you, it's boundaries that you place in your own life. So, and there was a time, when I was growing up and a young adult that, I was afraid to put up boundaries in my life, and what happened is I was taken advantage of, I was used, I was abused, I was walked all over, and I was frustrated at the time, which led me to a lot of anger and resentment growing inside of me. We as individuals, we have a tendency to just put up with people's negative behavior or always say yes to people when we want to say no. And then at times we allow ourselves to even be walked all over. Have you ever allowed yourself to be taken advantage of while feeling frustrated, angry, and resentful? Setting and maintaining healthy boundaries is critical, for our mental wellness. It helps us to establish a sense of self-respect. It promotes clear communication between us and the individual we're putting up the boundaries with, but it also prevents those feelings of, being overwhelmed or being resentful or being angry or having hatred even build up within you.
I like the question, because I know that people that are listening, women all over the world that might be listening now or listening on the replay, they will sit down in their kitchens, in their bedrooms, in their cars, in the mall, in the shop, in the restroom, wherever it is that they may be, and suddenly the penny will drop because you've asked a pertinent question. Have you ever? And when you asked me, when you said this right now, I could really relate. It resonated with me so much. Have I ever, Zena, been in a situation where I've not had the right boundaries in place and people have walked all over me, and rather than taking responsibility for it, I've felt resentment towards the people or the situation. And just as you were speaking, Shanita, you talked about why it's important to set those boundaries for yourself. No one's going to set those boundaries for you. No one's going to respect boundaries that you have not put in place. These boundaries are invisible. They're not walls, physical walls, but you still need to erect them. And, when you erect something or you build something or you put something up, it's an action. It's an active word. It comes from you. So you have to do it. You have to build it, step by, you have to erect it. And if you're listening right now around the world, or if you listen on the replay, wherever you might hear that's on Spotify or wherever, iTunes, wherever, ask yourself this question. Am I actively building the boundaries I need to build around me? Am I actively erecting the boundaries I need to erect? Am I actively doing whatever it is that I need to do to get the help that I need to ensure that I have healthy boundaries around me, so that I don't have resentment, like Shanita said, so I don't have anger issues, like Shanita said? And many of us can relate to this because we're always blaming someone else. It's always somebody else's fault. He walked all over me. She walked all over me. Walked all over me. But we've been walked over because we haven't actually erected the boundaries that we have. So thank you so much for asking that question, and also for actually identifying that even when we don't recognize it, we actually do have the tendency to do some of these things. And I guess the next question I would ask you, Shanita, which leads on very nicely, is for people who may be listening now or on the replay and who have actually identified, or at some stage will say, oh, I listened to this show with Dr. Zena and the amazing Shanita in 2023, and they were talking about healthier boundaries and how you can get angry, you can get resentful, you don't build, and all the other things we've talked about. But how do I do that? So they might be saying, I hear boundaries all the time, but how do I build a boundary? So I want to ask you the next question, which is, what will you advise? Can you give 5 tips or 5 ways in which people, women, men, children, can begin to erect these boundaries that we are talking about?
Okay. So the first boundary I would like to discuss is personal space. You're establishing boundaries around your personal space, ensuring that you have the ability to take care of yourself. It's called that self-care. I know you mentioned at the beginning of the show, some people looking at this glass half empty. That self-care is you pouring into that glass until it's full. And understand that it's necessary for your glass to be full because you're going to give out of your overflow and not what's inside of that glass. So establishing that personal space so you can begin to take care of yourself, and you have the necessary physical and emotional room to do that. It's promoting that sense of autonomy. A second one is time management. You're setting limits on, your commitments. You're setting the limits on your commitments. No one else. You are setting the limits on your commitments. You have the power to do so. Some of us think we do not have that kind of power, but you have the power to do so. Now, I'm going to say this. If you're a mom with young kids, you probably do not have that power right now. So your children, need you. Yeah. But other than that, you have the power to do so. Every time someone calls you, oh, I need you to come do this, or I need you to come do that. And you're like, man, I was just about to sit down here and rest. You have the power to say no. Time management. You allocate time for self-care. You write it down, you schedule it. And unless there's a massive emergency, you take care of you during that time.
Yes.
That way, like I said before, that cup, you want your cup full and you want to be able to give out of that overflow. So your cup will not be full if you do not take that time that you set aside for yourself to pour into you.
Yeah, okay. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
You want to have a balanced life and you don't want to burn out. And this is just the way to do it. It's that time. Another boundary I have, is emotional boundaries. You have to set up communicate clearly your emotional needs to people. If you don't, it's a guessing game for them, first of all.
Yes.
But I need you to set up clearly and communicate to yourself first your emotional needs, because you are responsible for your emotional needs. No one else. You are responsible.
I like that.
You could pull in other people from here and from there to help, but you are responsible for your emotional needs. And then setting limits to maintain, those healthy relationships. And that way you will avoid that emotional exhaustion or manipulation or burnout. Take the time daily and recognize, okay, where am I at emotionally? How do I feel? What am I thinking? Am I in the emotional space to go and deal with the situation? Or do I need some self-care to fill myself up before I go and deal with the situation?
Yeah. Yes.
These are your emotional boundaries, and it's something that you have to put in place. We are supposed to guard our heart.
Yes, absolutely.
Our thinking and our focus are supposed to be on things that are positive. If we're not there emotionally, if our heart is not there, then we need to sit back and say, okay, where am I at? What do I need to do? What do I need to take care of within myself? How can I fill myself up in this moment? Do I need to sit down and pray? Do I need to sit down and read my Bible? Do I need to sit down and do some meditation? Do I need to just go exercise or go do some type of yoga? What do I need for my emotional stability? All right.
I love that. So number one, let's recap. Number one, okay, go ahead.
Number one is the personal space.
Yeah.
Number two is time management.
Yeah. And number three, emotions.
Yep. Emotional boundaries.
I love that. I don't want to interrupt you because there's so much I want to say, but I want you to keep rolling. Sorry.
Number four is the work-life balance. Now, I understand this is hard for some people because basically your work controls you.
Yeah.
I really depends on who you work for. Some people, they go to work, but they bring work home too. And there's no work-life balance. So you have to decide, okay, when do I cut work off for my own personal life. You have to make that decision. Your job is not going to make that decision for you. Your business, if you're running a business or running several businesses like a lot of us, it's not going to make that decision for you.
That's
You
right.
have to implement a work-life balance. You have to say, nope, I'm not working today. I'm going to go and do something fun. Or I'm going to go hang out with my kids and do something fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to go visit family or visit friends. I'm just going to go and have a good time. Work-life balance. And it's crucial because if you don't have that balance, then things begin to pile up, and that stress starts spilling over into personal time. And then your behavior changes when there's no work-life balance.
Absolutely.
So you want to foster a kind of like an overall well-being. Now, just so you know, I do understand that depending on your job, some seasons you have to go all day and it's really stressful. But even in those times, you have to say, okay, yes, I have to do a 9 to 7 o'clock at night. At 7, it's my time. Cutting the phone off. I'm walking away from the laptop, computer.
Yes.
If the job is building, it's not on fire, they don't need to hear from me.
Yes, absolutely.
So you have to establish your own boundaries. No one else is going to do this for you. This is something you have to do for yourself. And I do understand, because I've heard it. Sometimes you're on jobs where people just keep piling on work on you. And you may be one person.
The more you do it, the more they pile.
Absolutely. And you could be one person doing the job of 5 individuals. So you have to say, okay, when is the cutoff here?
Yes.
When can I talk to my boss about, okay, it's time for us to hire someone else?
Yes.
So figure out, okay, do you have a work-life balance, and what boundaries you need to put in place if you do not? Now, number 5 is communication limits. So what this is all about is you are actually establishing respectful communication boundaries. Now, you cannot establish them if you're not giving them.
Yes.
So don't expect to, go hang out with your friends and cursing everyone out and then expect them to respect you. No, it doesn't work that way. But you have to establish those communication and respectful boundaries with others. But I also like to throw in with yourself. What is it that you tell yourself? What is it that your mind tell yourself? What is that internal dialogue that goes on within you? Are you respecting yourself? Are you honoring yourself? Are you lifting yourself up? You cannot expect that from someone else if you're not doing it for you. What are you telling yourself? Do you have that communication limits within yourself? It's like, nope, I made a mistake, but I am not that mistake. I can learn from this.
Yes, I love it.
Move on.
I love it.
What are you telling yourself? So you're going to establish communication limits with yourself as well as with others. And that way it prevents, especially with others, misunderstanding, and it reduces unnecessary conflict. And even with yourself, it will reduce that unnecessary internal conflict that individuals have with themselves over something they've done, over some experience they've had. Now, what are you telling yourself?
I love that.
Is it bringing you health, wholeness, healing, or is it tearing you down, making you feel bad, making you feel depressed, causing you anxiety? What are you telling yourself? What's your internal dialogue like?
I love that. I love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. When you were talking about, and thank you so much, Shanita, so many nuggets here and very concise and straight to the point. When you were talking about the cup, pouring from your overflow, it is so true. The example they give in terms of, when you're in the airplane, and every mother that hears this, like, are you for real? Before you think about saving your child, make sure you put the oxygen mask on yourself. And it seems but it's the right thing. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Mhm.
Everything you do, the love you give, the help you give, the support you give, the money you give, whatever it is that you do, you should do it from a place of abundance, or at least a place of not lack. So if you are lacking
Yes.
confidence, if
Yes.
you are lacking the ability to say no, if you are lacking, esteem, if you are lacking all these, and there's so many things that you could be lacking, if you are lacking those things, if you haven't built them up, you're always going to be in a place where you're on the back foot and you feel resentment when people don't understand your boundaries. And like you said, if you don't talk about them, no one's going to no one can read your mind. No one's a mind reader except God. So no one's a mind reader. No one can read your mind. You have to be clear, crystal clear on what your boundaries are. And if you don't know what they are, we're going into 2024, you can start to take some of the things that Shanita has, so helpfully shared, to start doing them. Think about your personal space. What does that personal space mean to you? I'll tell you a quick story. A couple of days ago, I was speaking to Shanita, and obviously we've got time differences, and I was busy working on something else I'm doing. As we've already alluded to, many of us are serial entrepreneurs, and we do lots of amazing things around the world. But you still need to ensure you have your own boundaries and your own space and stuff. And so I wanted to speak to Shanita very quickly. We talk to each other on WhatsApp. So I'm sending a message. I'm like, oh, I'm going to call you in a minute. For me, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I was thinking, I'm about to go to bed, but I just want to have a quick word with Shanita as I'm about to sleep. And Shanita said, oh, all right, no worries. I'm about to head off to bed. And I'm looking at, we laughed about it. And I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, that's 9 o'clock. It's not even 10 o'clock. Why is she heading off to bed? But she was clear with her boundaries.
Yes.
And so I now know, I tease her, I call her chicken, but I now know that if I want to speak to Shanita, I need to make sure I'm speaking to her before her 9 o'clock.
Yes.
And so, we laugh about it, but these are things you can put into place for yourself. Put in what, it doesn't have to be attractive to anyone else as long as it works for you. I have another good story where a very good friend of mine, so qualified, an exceptional professional, C-suite person, and she goes into jobs, she does really incredibly well, really, really, she's very knowledgeable in the stuff that she does, and she works over and above. So she would take her work on holiday with her. We would go on holiday. She would be working in the room. She'd be doing all sorts of things. And I say to her, if you don't have those boundaries in place, they will keep on piling up. So what's happened, she's left that job. She does something else even much better. And all of a sudden they've employed 3 people to do her job. So she, had a whole team under her, team of 15 under her. And she would say, well, I need more people. And no one was listening. Now they've done, So what are we saying? Have your boundaries in place, personal space, timetable. I was speaking to a client earlier on today. And one of the things, it was as if you were there, Shanita. One of the things I said is that you need to timetable your time with your family, because you were saying, oh, my job is so hard, they're really taking my time, and I'm not giving enough time to my husband and children. And I said, the first thing you need to do is you need to put it on the timetable. You need to put family time in your diary. Friday, you and your kids. Once a month, twice a month, you and your husband. Pull it in there. Take the initiative, pull it in there. And she's like, oh my days. And it was like, I said something, it was, wow. But it's so important that we put those, but we have to be intentional. It's one of my favorite words. We have to be intentional about this. No one else is going to be intentional about it. And I wanted to share your details. Well, what I can do, I can share it on the replay. And I can put it on LinkedIn and Facebook and everything, because I want people to be able to reach you.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you can share now, and anyone that's listening can listen to that on the replay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can find me you can email me at Shanita@createdgrowth.com. I have a website, createdgrowth.com. YouTube is at Created Growth, and Instagram is created.growth.
So these, I'm going to make sure that people have them as well. I'm just trying to figure out if I can put them now. I like to play about with technology, and I might do something and take us off. Like, but I'll see if I can pull it in the chat as well. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, type a message. Let's see. That's what I'm going to do. Right, Shanita, while I'm doing that, can you give me a story from, as you feel comfortable to share, from your personal life where perhaps this has happened to you, and we've only got 2 minutes. We've got 2 minutes left. Where where you hadn't had boundaries in place, and now that you do it, and you can see the difference, sort of thing.
Yes, I had to put up boundaries with someone that I grew up with. Well, I actually lived in a house with, and it was tough because this individual is a parent, still is a parent. So I had to put up some strong boundaries, and they know at this point, you disrespect my boundaries, you will not see me for 2 to 3 months. We're not even going down that road.
Wow.
It was it last year or I think it was early last year, they disrespected my boundaries. And besides the fact that I, first of all, before I left, I made sure that I was heard. Yes. And I made sure that I spoke my truth. And then I left, and they knew this, like, okay, we will not see her for months. No. I have strong boundaries with this individual because of past abuse, really strong boundaries. So cross my boundaries, they know they won't see me.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Cross my boundaries, you won't see me. Cross my boundaries, you won't see me. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I love that. I'm just thinking about that for myself. I'm also trying to put your details here, and it's not working, so I'm going to put it afterwards, if that's all right. Yes. Now, some final remarks that you think that people can take, some takeaways, final takeaways, because you've shared so much. This has been power packed, and when you're having fun, the time goes so quickly. It really does.
When you're putting up boundaries, you need to remember it's going to take individuals time to get used to it. So you may need to remind them 1 or 2 or 3 times that, nope, we're not talking about that. Nope, we're not discussing that. Nope, that's negative. I don't want to have any part of that. So you may have to tell them a few times. Now, in terms of I put up boundaries with somebody that was abusive. In terms of that, you may need to just cut them off. We're not going to go down that road and allow ourselves to be abused, verbally, physically, or sexually anymore. That's done with. So you may need to cut them off for a time until they get the pictures. Like, if you want me in your life, these are the boundaries. So understand, it takes time. It takes patience with yourself. You have to say, okay, because sometimes you're going to blow it and allow people to walk all over you. You're like, oh, I did it again. But give yourself some love and compassion. It's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do differently next time. Make a plan, because they're going to try to cross that boundary again. It's going to happen.
And again and again and again.
It's going to happen. So make a plan, and then have a discussion with them. It's like, okay, I don't like this, what we're talking about or what we're saying. I'm working on myself, and I'm changing, and this is not the road I'm going down anymore. You may have to just explain that to them. They may say yes, or they may say, oh, they may just laugh it off and think you're a joke until the next time you say something, and the next time. So recognize when you put up boundaries with individuals, it's not going to be something that's going to change overnight.
That is so true.
And when you put up boundaries with yourself, it's not going to be something that's going to change overnight.
And I guess what you're saying is so true, but it really is step by step. It's step by step, and it's I like to say, cut yourself some slack. You might have made mistakes in the past, you might even make another mistake. Oh my days, but pat yourself on the back, because at least now you recognize your triggers. You recognize also how other people come to you. You recognize the signs that people take. Some people call you at odd hours. Some people start by praising you a lot, like the people like to say, love bombing you. Hello, you're so amazing, and then you fall for it, and all of whatever it is. Recognize your triggers and take responsibility, but also don't allow yourself to be, and like you said that earlier on, don't allow yourself to be stuck or hurt by the mistake you may have made. They will come back, but also you're going to come back even stronger. And just before, when we have, I'm gonna have to bring you back, Shanita.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to bring you back because there's so many things to unpack here. You've defined what a healthy boundary is, putting yourself first, and you've given 5 key tips that people can use in terms of having boundaries with their personal space, with time management, with their emotions. And what I probably would do is, in the new year, subject to your availability, and hopefully I won't call you at my 3 a.m., is to bring you back, because I think we should talk about one particular aspect and really break it down.
Okay.
Yes. But thank you so much. Any
You're
final
welcome.
passing? We've gone over by 5 minutes, but this was a heavy subject, and I really wanted people to get as much as possible. Ivana, do you have any final words you'd like to say before we go?
Boundaries is for you. Remember, it's for your self-care.
Thank you so much. You heard it from the expert. You heard it from the best, the amazing Shanita Bromwell. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me.
I could talk to you forever. I'm just going to play us out.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to A Cup of Tea with Dr. Z, where we share everyday stories with you, everyday women. Are you ready to hear heart-to-heart key issues that we all face, no matter where we are in the world? So grab your cup of tea and let's welcome your host, author, international speaker, reinvention strategist, and woman that's full of faith in God and mankind, Dr. Zena Arinzi.